Although I thought that is what devolution does, because it's supposed to strengthen the counties so that people do not have to move to Nairobi. And also the affordable housing program is not just based in Nairobi, it's actually based in different towns and cities around the country. So I thought devolution takes care of that rural-urban migration.
It is supposed to. Let me start with affordable housing.
Okay.
I don't think that people in Kakamega have a problem with housing. I don't think that people in
Yes.
the rural areas have problems with housing. Most of them
Yes.
have their own housings,
True.
including you people in Nairobi have houses there. So you'll find
Yes.
the majority of the houses are being built in Nairobi. The others are just smoke screens to make it look like a national program, but it is really not a national program. Because why would someone in Kakamega want to buy a house of 5 million? And their job is on the farm, they have a house on their farm, and all. It doesn't make sense. Devolution was a brilliant idea, but it was done for political expediency and not for economic expediency. Why do I say that? Number one, we have too many counties. There are some counties that just don't make sense because they are not economically viable. Number two, we devolved the payroll and expenditure to counties, but we did not devolve revenue generation. So a whole county like Nairobi tries to survive on parking tickets, business permits. There is no way you're going to be able to run a county that way. It's not going to work until we devolve revenue generation. What do we say? We can easily say any VAT, any excess duty that is generated in Nakuru stays in Nakuru. Once you do that, the government in Nakuru will now say, if we are going to increase our revenue, we need to attract businesses to Nakuru. We need to increase consumption and sales in Nakuru because that is how we make our revenue. But if they make their revenue on parking tickets and all, what will Nakuru government do? Employ more parking attendants so that you harass people that park anywhere, send them fines wherever they are, because that's the only way they can generate
Generate.
revenue. So
Yes.
if devolution is going to work, you need to devolve revenue generation to the counties, not expenditure.
Okay. So your suggestion would be like some of the counties should be merged with other counties, like in terms of generation of income. Nairobi is the highest, followed by Kiambu. Then maybe the lowest is the northeastern counties, Wajir and the rest. The suggestion is to merge them, or what to do what with those other counties, because also those people need to be represented, as much as not so much of the revenue is coming from those counties. They also need proper roads and infrastructure, and to develop also, so that there's not a place in Kenya that is highly developed and another place that is underdeveloped.
I think in terms of roads are still central government job. It's done by Kura
Yeah.
and the other urban roads something. So county governments don't decide which roads to build. They don't have the budget for that. So that doesn't help. All those places have members of parliament who sit in parliament, and that is representation. You want to increase the members of parliament, then increase the members of parliament. But having a county that has less people than Dagoretti constituency just does not make sense. Because one, there's no business that is going to go there because there's no purchasing power. But I'll give you an example. If you join 2, 3 counties, and all of a sudden those 3 counties have a population of 5 million. So that county now has a population of 5, 6 million. It becomes more attractive for Safaricom to say, we need to put an office in this place because there are 5 million people that we can serve.
Yes.
We also need to be cognizant of our demographics. We're close to 50-60% of our population are young people most of them who don't have purchasing power. And majority of them are actually still in school going age. So even when you say a county is 5 million people, you are really saying it most probably is 1 million, 2 million adults that can actually have money to buy and sell goods.
Yes.
So before a bank decides, let's set up in this county, they're saying, hey, there are 3 million people, we have customers. But when a county that is 150,000 people or 200,000 people, any business realizes it does not make sense because 50% of those people are children. That means you only have 100,000 adults. Of those 100,000 adults, if you look at the unemployment rate of around 40%, that means 40,000 are not working. You only have 60,000 who are working, who are supporting the other 60%. So there's no purchasing power there. And
Yes.
now development will not go. But if you measure a county, and the county is 5 million people, businesses start getting attracted there. The income that is generated in that county stays in that county. The central government can take PAYE, income tax to run a few of their things. But then roads are built where roads are needed.
Okay.
Not someone seated in Nairobi deciding, let's build a road through here. But the
Yes.
people in the county are the only ones that will know that, okay, now Safaricom is put here, Safaricom needs a road. And you find private sector starts driving development, and infrastructure starts following development, and not building and hoping that now if we have built a road here, Safaricom might think, okay, let's put an office here because there's a road. No, they make their decision based on, are we going to generate revenue? Do the people have money to use our products? How many people are we capturing in that area? Even our sports might start improving because when you have a county that is 5 million people, we can say, okay, now we need a football club here, we need a rugby club, we have, and things start generally to work. So again, I repeat, devolution was done for political expediency so that people can be governors, people can be senators, but no economic thought was put behind it.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And also, I think if we merged some of the counties, then it would reduce the public expenditure because we'd have less governors, less MCAs, and all the that it takes a lot of expense to run so many counties in the government. But let's go back to the SGR. So I feel as if you're saying that the SGR, it was the strategy that was faulty and also the loan that was very expensive. It did not make sense because building the SGR cost like 3 times of what that an SGR would take to build. And also putting it the final stop is Naivasha does not make sense. It should have gone to agricultural based counties. So is that egg and chicken situation whereby do you build the physical infrastructure first or you change your strategy and let the physical infrastructure build around the developed areas? The SGR, what do you, because I still believe it was a good idea, just poorly implemented and probably just too expensive of a loan.
The SGR, the concept does make sense, ideally, and especially makes sense if it goes all the way to Kampala, because the guy who uses the most of the port of Mombasa is Uganda,
Yes.
in transit ports. So if you were to say it will reduce the trucks on the road, it will do all those other things, well and good. But the cost of using the SGR is more expensive than the trucks on the road. Even if you then put in the bribes that they have to pay on the road, they still find it cheaper to do that. So if it was to show Uganda that, hey, you can put your things on here and they will reach, I think, is it Busia, the border post,
Yes.
in faster time than on a truck, in a cheaper cost, because ideally rail transport is supposed to be cheaper than road transport. Yeah. But then you build it to Nairobi first. What do? They say, no, let's do an inland container depot. We'll move everything to Nairobi. You pick from Nairobi.
Yes.
After a few months or so, no, we've done it to Naivasha. You pick everything
Naivasha.
uh, from Naivasha. But the point is, by the time you're building it, you should have said this thing has to go all the way to Kampala. And we are going to do it all the way to either Busia, so that then Ugandan trucks just pick it from Uganda and they go. If it was primarily built for that. Yeah.
Yes.
But then if you are building it for that and you are paying for it completely, I find that logic makes a bit of no sense, because then you are building infrastructure for another country, ideally.
Yes.
because they're saying they will use it more. Then it should be a joint project with Uganda and Kenya and say we are building this up to here. How then do we take it to the rest of East Africa? Does the port of Mombasa is able to get all this volume of cargo coming in, so that then we get more business from Dar es Salaam, because now we have this infrastructure. Then you build it primarily for that, and you build it around the efficiencies for around that. But again, when we look at the SGR, because of the port of Mombasa, and we know what Uganda imports the most from through the port of Mombasa. If I was the government, I would say, no, these guys import a lot of ball bearings. Can't we have an special economic zone, and we attract FDI, someone who will come and make those ball bearings here, and you tell Uganda, you don't have to get your ball bearings from India or Dubai, we can get them here. Turnaround time is 2 days or 3 days. That's now using the data that you have. So I still think SGR was, yeah, it's a good infrastructure project. People are now going to Mombasa more than they used to do, more comfortable. I don't know why they have a first class that costs more than a plane ticket to spend 8 hours on the road when you can literally fly there for 1 hour. Again, some of these decisions you're thinking, so why would you make a first class that will make you pay 12,000? There
Yes.
is no experience. You don't even see animals anymore until you reach voice. So you can say it's an experience. So there's a lot of I think knee-jerk decisions or reactions that are done. And most of them are done because that's the only way you can eat. If you don't have a big infrastructure project, there is no way you're going to eat money. You don't eat money when you're doing the right things. You eat money when you do overblown things. So that's why you find every government comes and they have a big project that they have to do, which always raises questions afterwards of thinking, well, was this really, really necessary?